Yep, we're rolling. We're good.
Wait, we're rolling?
Good to go.
Is it on? Like,
It's recording right now. Man, this is something serious. Y'all not playing today. Oh. Well, be tempted somewhere else and not here.
You what?
They're just messing around with the camera and stuff.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing. All right, it works. Now you can hear my voice. For those of you who may not know me, I am Dan Carnes. I am daughter number one's husband. So I think I just want to give everybody kind of a lay of the land for the next little bit. We're all here to celebrate and share stories of someone who we all love and care for so much, Richard Starn, and we all know him by lots of different names. And so this is an opportunity to do that, be a little bit casual and just a fantastic opportunity to have some fellowship and memory sharing as we're around. So kind of the schedule's going to be, Bill Starn's going to give a toast here in a few minutes. Heather, daughter number one, and I'm married way up, is passing out crown shots, and her and Nicholas, we're doing sparkling wine, so we're sparkling grape juice. So that we'll have a toast, and then we'll share a couple of stories and memories, and then anybody who is interested can either share from where their particular location is, or can come up and share from the mic. And then BJ will share some thoughts here in a little bit, and then we'll have an honor guard that will be here towards 2:30-ish. And then we will start in here and then move outside, and that will be kind of the end of the formal program. And then obviously people can stay and visit, and as long as they wish. All right, does that make sense? Questions? All right. If you don't have a crown yet and you would like a crown, raise thy hand. And you are of age, my son in the back. All right. All right. I'm going to turn it over to Bill, and Bill will have the opportunity to share some thoughts and a toast. Raise your hand if you still need one.
much like a star. But, and I really don't have a plan, you know, because as I thought about doing this, it was possible for me to just narrow down my thoughts. And so I'm just going to talk, I'm going to tell you a few things that took place over time, and see what I do. And I promise you I will be short. John, you want to respond to that? I'm not noted to be short. So I didn't mean it that way, John, either. That wasn't a short term. Not today. Anyway, you know, Cousin Rich. You know, he was a great father, great husband, great cousin, great friend. And it's just really easy to think about for me, about the time we spent together. And I know it is for others. You can see it in the pictures. You can see that Rich and we all knew Rich in just a normal way. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about the history of how Rich and I got close. We knew each other when we were little. You know, we had some family Christmases and things. We'd go over to Uncle Brent and Emily's house and enjoy some time around the holidays. Well, we lost touch with him. It was a long time that we went for, you know, 20, 25 years we didn't see each other. And as life happens, both our fathers passed away, quite close to each other, real close. And basically what happened was, you know, I went to the funeral in Cleveland with my wife. Richard Barr came over to my dad's funeral. And it was a reunion, which happens so many times at funerals, it's just a shame. But shortly after that, Starn, which was kind of like the namesake of the family, because my grandma Willoughby had a logo to use with Starn within it, and that became Starn Manufacturing in the later generation of their two boys, Lisa and Jen, my wife. Well, at any rate, so what was interesting is we had a 50th anniversary big game. And my brother Dave catered it. You know, there was 300 people. We just had a great time. And Art and Rich came over. And honestly, it was just more fun than you could shake a stick in. And you know, it was supposed to be 3 hours of in and out. It took like 7 hours to get everybody out of the building, which was just pretty normal. So about 2 weeks later, I got this package in the mail. And it was a letter from Rich. It basically included a resume. And I thought, boy, isn't that something? You know, he was so impressed and so happy with what he saw, he decided to see if we could help him. And I understand, you know, it wasn't right for me to say, oh, my cousin's going to come to work here. So we put together the normal hiring committee. And we had a group phone call with Rich. And lo and behold, they all loved him. And I hired him. And Rich and Mark upended their entire life. Sold everything in Cleveland and moved. Well, not to be, but kind of like it's close. But they moved and he took the job and he spent the rest of his working career there. And it gave us an opportunity to be very close as cousins. Because not only were we cousins, and not only did we work together, but we became great friends. And one of the things we enjoyed doing together was my golf partner, a very young age. And I can tell you, he made us all laugh, he made us all cry, he made us all sing and dance and everything else. You know, and his goofy pictures that you see is yeah, no question about it. I look at the pictures over there, and it's hard to look at, to tell you the truth of it. But I enjoyed it so much, and I know everybody here did. I can tell you that, you know, when we start talking about the funny side of things, Rich and I did have a few times where we probably got in trouble. Maybe we're not willing to admit it, but, you know, we got close calls. And there was one time where I brought Rich home, and, well, you know, it wasn't the best scene, that's for sure, but we got him upstairs, took care of that. I caught hell from Barb. And then the next time, it was, I brought him home like that in the middle of a winter storm, and the hell of it was, is it wasn't my fault. I was at home in bed. The shop called and said, hey, we're still over here in Rochester. Do you want to come get him? I said, really? He said, well, we're not taking him. so Barb was mad at me again. She was really mad. I was trying to tell her it wasn't my fault. I didn't do it. The next time it happened, well, that's out. It was my fault. It was a really rainy day at the golf course, and just happened to have a bottle of Russian vodka. And it rained really hard for a really long time. And we had such a great time in the rain. And we got him home, and I didn't take him home. I was along for the ride. And then this next time, I knew next time I was going to come pick him up, I had to get doctor. And I did. And I don't blame Mark for that one. And that one was my fault, Mark. But you know, Rich was just somebody you could have a good time. You know, having him as a golf partner was just the greatest thing in the world for me. I also brought along a little history of the family, which most of you we have hanging up at the shop. And it's our grandfather and our uncles, or Rich's dad, my dad. And he just had so much pride in the family. I mean, he was a Starn all the way through, and he just loved the pictures and loved having the conversation. And he had so much pride in Starn, so I really appreciated it. And so for me, and I know so many, and pretty much everybody in this room, we miss him. But we've got him. He's with us, and he'll be with us forever. And to the girls, the bar, and the rest of the family, thank God. So I'm here to give a toast.
So everybody will raise their glass.
I would like to toast, in fact, I would like to toast Rich, and thank him for being part of our lives. Thank you.
Now, as the son-in-law, there's a different version of that story. But I'm just going to. I will tell you a quick story. The first time I met Richard Starn was Mother's Day 1995. And Heather and I were dating at the time. And Heather had was doing an internship at Lehigh, but was coming to Cleveland. And I had just graduated from college, and I was unemployed and didn't have my job start until July 1. So I said, I can help you move. And came up. Now, I think he had heard a little bit about this guy from Oklahoma, and a little bit kind of don't really know what's going on. And I did not get the warm fuzzies first day I met Richard Starn. It was, hi, how's it going? Good. Lots of one-word answers. And then, about 6 weeks later, but it was a great weekend. It was a fantastic Mother's Day weekend, and we surprised everybody. It was wonderful. And then about 6 weeks later, Heather's best friend and her husband, Heather and Steve Large, who are also here, got married. And at that time, I came in for the wedding, and that's when we sat down at the dining room table in their room, and I said, you know, we want to have a serious conversation. We want to get married. And Richard said, that is fantastic. And I am so proud. And I wish you the best of luck. And here are 3 things that you need to do. Love each other, grow in your faith together, and have children. So those 3 things. So we did that, and that was 25 years and 3 months ago. And it's been the best decision I think I have ever done, for sure. So that's my first interactions with Richard. So I'm going to turn over to Heather. Heather's got some comments.
Hey everyone. Thank you all for being here. I'm going to try to get through this without crying. But I can start by saying, you know, as I was talking with each of you, Dad had his funny side and his bantering side, his playful side. He also had the gruff side, so Dan got to see that firsthand and first thing. So I guess better to start that way, right? So as I was thinking about what I might say and what I may or may not be able to say, You know, there's just so many things to share about Dad, and so how to figure out how to narrow it down. Some of you might know my memory's crappy, so you know, then there are those things that I don't remember, things that I should, that I didn't. So I just have a lot of thoughts, and I wanted to share those with you. Just take a few minutes to do that. And I want to start by just offering that as I was thinking about this, I was thinking about all the things people say are true about life. And so that took me to some say that the only things you can be sure of are death and taxes. Well, I would add to that that there's one more. And I think that if you were to encounter my dad, if he crossed your path, he was going to make you smile. Now, he might have did it in an offhanded way. He might have said something off color somewhere. But he also would have just genuinely tried to warm your heart, brighten your day, lighten the load, and give you a smile. So that was just one thing that I know was very important to him, and hopefully each one of you had a chance to encounter and experience that. Dad was a lot of things. Among them, he was a tinkerer, an artist of all kinds, a musician, painter, and carpenter. He was an entrepreneur, and if only to use the money he earned to pay for his toys. Many of you know what those might have been. Airplanes, motorcycles, big things that cost lots of money. But also things that he loved to do with grandkids and with all of us. So, you know, he always looked at that as spending money. There were always new entrepreneurial pastimes and adventures at our house, ranging from making t-shirts, and I have one that I saved from when I was in college. My dad made t-shirts for everybody. And we had this makeshift t-shirt shop in the basement, so it was quite comical when I was growing up to go downstairs and see all these t-shirts. I don't know what to call them. T-shirts. I don't know, like
I survived the fifth grade.
you know what?
I survived the fifth grade.
Yeah. So all kinds of sayings mounted in the room. You know, he had them all on display. But he also had this kind of assembly line thing going. Anyway, we were all part of it, and it was funny and fun because Dad included us. There was also the opportunity to help him with a design that he had been working on. He thought it would be cool to make a hovercraft. I think this was precursor to flying days. He wanted to be able to fly and float, and so he put a lawnmower engine on a big plastic skirt in our backyard, and then he let me ride it, and it was really cool. So there's a picture of that up here too. So, you know, those were just some of the fun and bizarre things that happened in our house. He also makes swing sets, and anytime a kid wanted to do something, he was right there. There was also the shocking discovery I had in our freezer on Grafton Road. My dad was trying to stop smoking, and he had decided that he was going to roll his own tobacco. This wasn't, as they keep calling it, but as he was deciding to roll his own tobacco, he had invested in some resources and supplies. Not knowing about the ins and outs of this, I opened the basement freezer one day and saw these long brown things. They were like 4 feet long, that looked like dead fish, and there were just tons of them in our freezer. It scared me to death, and it stunk to high heaven. Turns out those were tobacco leaves, and that was the beginning of Dad's project, and as he was going to start rolling and turning it into things that might help him quit smoking, which he eventually did. So again, just always comedy. Even yesterday, as I was cleaning our basement for Miller to come home and have a place to crash, my dad's rubber ball machine, so he had these bouncing balls that were in pinball machines, and they would go into entrances at restaurants and things like that, so we still have one of those, and there are rubber balls everywhere. And it's just a constant reminder of the things that Dad thought were fun and cool. So there was always something to do. Dad enjoyed the work he did and the jobs he had, and he was always doing something as a side hustle. It keeps things interesting, and the best part of it was that he involved us and the kids and grandkids in whatever he did. No matter his age or mine, I was always and will always continue to be impressed by the new projects or goals he would take on and his commitment to seeing them through. When I was a kid, one of those was becoming a pilot, and I remember him spreading all the charts and maps and cloud diagrams on our table. And that's where he would spend his weekends, was trying to figure out what the next lesson was and trying to work on his plans for flight. In later years, it was building life-size crosses for the church and making individualized wood crafts and benches and art pieces for each grandchild. What I absolutely admire is he always finished what he started. He had passions. He loved flying and riding motorcycles, golf and pool, playing guitar, joining with friends and family. But he and his gift was sharing these during treasured times with the family and friends that he was close to. As the family and families grew, he and Mom loved that they were able to add time with sons and grandchildren. He was often the first to start a bonfire, and in the evening we would all sit around and talk, especially at his house. While not a fan of technology, especially when Alzheimer's entered the picture, he found that he loved the larger family music Zoom calls that were put together late last year. As long as he could just sit there and enjoy, he didn't have to touch a thing, which he absolutely did. He enjoyed everything and he didn't touch anything. Dad took his faith seriously. He lived it and he shared it. From looking forward to attending Mass each week, participating in Holy Week, which is something he grew to love, attending sacraments with kids and grandkids, and no matter what, Dad wanted to make sure God let him in when it was time. So, we're sure that happened. A few years ago, all the kids gave Mom and Dad a Storyworth subscription. And if you haven't heard about Storyworth, we gave them a subscription for their anniversary. It provided a weekly prompt to ponder and respond to. And upon completion, the responses would be compiled into a book for whichever individual had the subscription. Of course, you won't be surprised to know Mom tackled hers dutifully, got them all done, and in record time. She was always the first, and they were done each week on time. Dad had a tough time. Al was taking a toll, Alzheimer's was taking a toll, and I worked with Dad to talk through his responses to the prompts. He had a lot to share, but things were quickly reverting back to the same few stories that were ingrained in his memory. Thankfully, we finished those questions and completed that book last September. It was a fabulous gift, and we're so thankful to have those stories and the stories of Mom and Dad's lives together. But even before Al was on the scene, Dad was not a fan of writing. Instead, he would scribble notes. Sometimes you couldn't read them. But he was definitely a scribbler and not a writer. Writing at any length was not something he enjoyed. So back in 1999 for Father's Day, Deanna, Jenny, and I gave him a book called The Father's Legacy. Much like the Storyworth subscription I just mentioned, this was multiple prompts a month, and it was actually a diary of sorts, where the individual would respond and write down their answers. Dad took one look at that and said, no, not me. And then he said, instead of writing them out, I'm going to record them. He proceeded to answer every question and respond to every prompt on these cassette tapes. I have had the wonderful gift of transferring the cassette tapes Dad recorded to audio files for safekeeping. They are treasures in and of themselves. I'm still working through these hours of tapes, but here are just a few of the life lessons from Richard W. Starn. If you don't lie, you don't need to remember what you said. Always leave the other guy a way out and a way to save face. As you go through any situation, there will be good and bad. So take the good, and you can always learn from the bad. Do unto others the golden rule. Treat others as you would want yourself treated. Know where your anthills are and avoid them. And by this I meant know where your shortcomings are. Know the things you don't do well, and just stay away from that. Which I think is another great mantra of Dad's. Pictures tell the story. You can see all of these here, but Dad kept countless photos, thousands of pictures. Mom's still sorting through all of those. But he felt truly that if you had a picture, that was worth 1,000 words. Nothing lasts forever. No matter the situation, good or bad, it will change. Leave everything better than you found it. Always. Don't ever give someone a ride unless you really know the person. So this is a story all by itself. At one point, my dad was really kind to a stranger, and it backfired on him. So thank goodness he came home. There is a God. There is a purpose to all of this, and there is life after death. And above all, take care of each other. So I leave you with those.
That would be a tough act to follow. So does anybody want to follow that? Nicholas.
My name is Nicholas. I am one of the grandchildren of Rich Starn. I come. To some people, he's a grandpa. To some people, he's a father. To some people, he's a brother. To some people, he's a friend. But to me, he was a friend, a grandpa, a mentor, and an overall superhero. I think so. Some of us, maybe all of us, will all agree that he was super in his own way. And one very, very special memory that I have of him being there for everybody, is when something broke, he was there to fix it, and he taught me how to play pool. He taught me how to play rummy, and he taught me how to do a lot of things. And those of us that knew him, we always knew when he would say rummy. So my new catchphrase is rummy.
Anybody else have anything to share?
So, hi, I'm Grace. I am one of the two granddaughters. Something about Rich was he loves to support people, whether it was soccer or basketball or horse riding or just regardless of anything. And he always enjoyed going to people's games or practices and just to watch them have fun doing what they love to do. He loved to come to my lessons for horse riding, and he always loved to see the ponies and the horses, and there was one in particular. His name was Bubba Blue. He is a very small miniature pony, and him and my great-grandpa, they love to just pet him and give him treats, and they've always enjoyed just having fun with him. And normally when we say grace, when we have food, he always said, rub-a-dub-dub, thanks for the grub. So that's always been fun, and we still continue to carry on that tradition. And he's always just been a great supporter, a great friend, a great grandfather, a great dad, father-in-law. So he's always just made everyone's lives a little bit brighter. Thank you.
Anyone else want to share? Yep. So I could share a couple of things that, as I kind of reflect back, it's 25 years since the son-in-law. It's an interesting role. Like, you kind of, there's some new book every year, and you kind of search yourself in, and, how does it all work out? I have to say, everyone should be blessed to have all of us. Whether it was flying in airplanes, and we'd be in an airplane, and the map would shoot out the window, and we just all night long, because we're trying to figure out, okay, we're going to go here, and then the map shoots out. So the plane is like, well, we're not going to go there, so let's just kind of hang around the airplane. True story. So, whether stuff like that, or we're out on the golf course, and he is a pretty good golfer, and me not so much. And he would be so patient, and also put in a little jazz here and there. And then there would be some times where, it's just start with one tree, and it would be more, and then we share more stories. And then the next thing you know, it's the end of the night, and it just was just a fantastic time of fellowship. So then when we became a grandfather, they're all little grandfathers. It's investment in watching them grow into their 81st and his interest in connecting with each and one of their interests was just, teaching lessons in his action. It's just really been quite amazing. And incredibly grateful. Deanna, I think, once, it was daughter number 2, once said something about a race well run, when she was talking about Rich, and truly was. I think just how he lived his life and continues to teach lessons all the time. Continues to teach lessons. So, anybody else? Yeah.
My name is Eileen Nance, and I'm a second delivery assistant. Some of you may know that he was a member of Holy Cross Fraternity, so I'd like my sisters and brothers to stand up that are here in attendance from Holy Cross Fraternity. BJ was a member of the fraternity and has been transferred to St. Pascal Fraternity over in Toledo, Ohio. And we remember Rich when he first became a Franciscan. So we want to just say fair winds and all seas to Rich. But we also want to give him a blessing. So if you give guys, give him a blessing. May the Lord bless him and keep him. May he show his face to him and have mercy on him. May he turn his countenance toward him and give him peace. May the Lord bless him forever. BJ, take care.
Hey everybody, my name is Miller. I'm grandson of Rich, first one. I learned a lot of things from him. There's 2 things in particular that I took away from him though. If you knew me well, I am currently a pilot, studying professional aviation at Oklahoma State. When I was just a toddler, he brought me to the annual flying at Mayville Airport. And I've been hooked ever since, just being a little kid, when I was 2 years old. He's the air. So I've been hooked on that ever since. I would always draw pictures of planes, and always make paper planes and all of that. And he would be very supportive. As I kept getting older, he would take me flying every once